So thinking of buying a one-bedder or a studio, here are the latest data that you must know before you even invest. So there are a few pointers that you need to take note. For smaller unit, we are seeing steady demand, but they take longer to sell compared to the bigger unit. Of course, the price growth are slower because one-bedder and studio generally are smaller. And if you use the per square foot to multiply by the size, definitely the value grow more slower compared to 2 or 3 bedders. That's why I always say, if today you own a one-bedder, it's always good to consider to upgrade to a bigger unit if you can. And one-bedder, is it something that worth consider? If today one-bedder is something that fit in your budget and anything more than a one-bedder could be a stretch in your financial, then of course one-bedder definitely is a stepping stone. So take a look at this example. In 2018, anyone who actually bought a one-bedder in Bedok Residences, and this person actually sold in 2024 with a decent profit of 238,000. So who say that one-bedder cannot profit? It can, but technically we just need to make sure that we do our homework before you do your purchase. So market data, between 2020 to 2025, one-bedroom and studio resale jumped by 82% outside the central region. Resale profits are tighter. So why it matters? Small units appeal to singles or investors who are looking for a higher rental yield, but less attractive to families. And as a result, it actually narrows your exit pool of buyers. But of course, if you ask me in my point of view, based on the research that I have done, in fact, one-bedder and studio is not really that bad. I mean, based on what I see from here, in 2016, this buyer chose to buy a one-bedder which is 732 square feet, and the purchase price was 1.55 million in 2016. And if you ask me, in 2016 we have actually a lot of things that we can actually look at, and 1.55 million for a one-bedder is really expensive. But of course, you know, some people, they will be looking at the size of the unit and determine that it's actually value buy. But we need to understand that one-bedder is generally for singles or investors. If today you're going to sell a 20 years property at 1.6 to 1.7 million, the buyer may have these thoughts that does he really need to stay in the CBD? If this buyer have a very clear direction at that point of time and she understands that she will be selling in the near future, it's always good to understand whether is there an exit strategy. Because if she's going to sell at 1.6, 1.7 million, even in today's context, buyer may have these thoughts that buying a 1.6, 1.7 million in a CBD for a 20 years property, does it really make sense? You know? And 1.6 million, in fact, they can buy a 3-bedder in the OCR region, and it's more livable in the sense that the amenities and facilities nearby are more comfortable for a normal Singaporean who actually want to stay there. But likewise for CBD, generally Singaporeans don't really buy there and stay. Of course, there will be a lot of investors that like to buy there due to the high rental and surrounded by the tenants pool. That's why it's always good to understand, you know, when you want to buy that property, what is the objective? You know, how long are you going to hold that property? And eventually, will you plan to actually exit? If you have a plan to exit in the future, then what is the exit strategy that you're going to adopt? Do follow me for more properties content.